Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily current affairs session brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy for the date 8th August 2023 for the news which came in Indian Express newspaper. Okay, let's get into the today's current affairs session. What data protection bill says on privacy? Center powers, right to information act. Okay, this is the article related to the recently passed data protection bill, which it has explained in detail. So we'll look into the content of the news. So what does the news says? The data protection bill has recently been passed in Lok Sabha. The center will have the right to exempt any instrumentality of the state from adverse consequence, citing national security and relationship with foreign government and maintenance of public order. Then if an entity is penalized more than twice, means the center, after hearing the particular entity side, and they could decide whether the platform could be blocked or not, and center has the power to appoint members for data protection board. It is the board which has been created under the data protection bill to deal with privacy related grievance as well as dispute. Center can process citizen data without expressly seeking their consent for national security reason, to offer subsidy as well as benefits, certificates, license or permit. Private firms have been given the above privilege to deal with. The above privilege means that is they could also able to process the data without expressively seeking the consent in relation, but in the case of private firms, they also could able to do such similar kind of activities, but it is only limited to the employment related matter and corporate espionage. Okay, what is the concern that has been raised against the particular act which has been passed in Lok Sabha is personal data of the government functionaries is likely to be protected, so that it overrides the provisions of RTI Act. So if an applicant is asking whether the particular officer is if the particular applicant is asking in details related to the particular officer, means the privacy related bill, the data protection bill prohibits in giving the personal details in relation to the officer. And second is wide ranging exceptions power has been given to center and its agency. So the center could able to decide a particular situation whether that is entire authority rests with the center only, because it is on their discretion. They could consider a matter whether it is involving national security or friendly relationship with others country or not. Third is, since the data protection board has been created under the act to hear the privacy related grievances. So if they are hearing the privacy related grievances, means that the appointment made into the board needed to be neutral, but here the members have been appointed by, particularly the chairman have been appointed by the central. So if there is any kind of privacy related grievance being raised against the government in the data protection board, means there is some agitation that the result will go in the favor of government, because the members are appointed by data protection board, the members are appointed by central government. And another point is, there is lack of clear regulation in relation to processing of data. And applicability. The bill will apply to processing of data digital personal data within India, and it will also be applied to the processing of personal data outside India if it is for offering goods or services or for profiling the individuals in India. So under these two, the law is applicable under these two circumstances. So consent, whenever the personal data is processed, means that a particular individual whose data has been processed needed to be he should be giving the consent, and a notice in relation to processing of the particular data should be sent to the corresponding person, and the notice should contain details about the personal data that intended to be collected and the purpose for which it is going to be processed, and the consent, and after individual has given the consent, then the processing in relation to the data of the particular individual is on the process, means after some time also the individual could withdraw the consent at any point in time. For individuals below 18 years of age, the consents will be provided by their guardians, legal guardians. And transfer of personal data outside India, how it will be transferred is, the central government will notify country where a data fiduciary may transfer personal data. The transfer will be subjected to prescribed terms and conditions. This is what the this is where the criticism lies, because it is very dicey, because the central government will be notifying the countries where the particular data could be transferred. So what are the criteria it is going to be considered while selecting or while blacklisting a countries in which the data processing is going to be taking place? It is not clearly known in the bill, but we have to wait and see for the rules, which will be released sooner or later. Significance of data fiduciary. The data fiduciary are those who deals with high volume of personal data, for example YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc. The central government will define who is designated under this category based upon the number of factors. The most important factor is the person or entity who is handling a huge amount of people's data. Such entity will have to appoint a data protection officer and an independent data auditor. So these are all the important criticism, provisions and applicability of the data protection bill, which has been passed recently in Lok Sabha. So what we needed to study further is, we should know about the RTA Act 2005, the Right to Information Act 2005. Second is, we should know about IT Act 2000. Third is, we should know about European data regulations. Fourth is, we should know about Justice K.S. Puttafami versus Union of India. In this case only the right to privacy judgment has been passed. So we have to have a look into this judgment. Who are all the judges, and what are all their view in relation to the judgment. Fifth is, we should know about National Cyber Security Policy 2013. These are all the other peripheral areas which we needed to know apart from knowing the details which we have seen now. And then let's look into the UPSC prelims question. Right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part of right to life and personal liberty. Which one of the following in the Constitution of India correctly and appropriately imply the above statement? The answer is Article 21. Under this Article 21 only, the right to privacy as a fundamental right has been recognized. And the Article 21 and the freedoms guaranteed under Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. Examine the scope of fundamental right in the light of latest judgment of the Supreme Court on right to privacy. This was the case as while we are looking, as I have said, what are the other peripheral areas we need to look into. In that I have mentioned that Puttaswamy cases versus Union of India. In that only the right to privacy judgment has been passed. Based upon the judgment only the question has been asked in the corresponding year's mains exam. So I want those students, please do comment answer point for the question which we are seeing right now on the board. Nearly 34% of the diverted forest land was used for mining and road construction purposes. Union Ministry has tabled information in the Lok Sabha. Okay, let's discuss about the diversion. What is the details in relation to the news? The total forest land diverted in the last 15 years is 3 hectares of land. Sorry. Nearly 34% of the diverted land was used for mining as well as road construction purpose only. In that, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha are the top 3 states that have diverted the forest land for the non-forest purposes. In India, the total forest cover is 21.71% of the country's total area, and in that 514 hectares of land is encroached in the last 15 years. This is the detail which has been tabled by Union Ministry in the Lok Sabha. So let's look into the status of forest report which was released by Forest Survey of India recently. The total forest and tree cover of the country has increased by 2,261 square kilometers since the last assessment in 2019. The increase in forest cover is 1,540 square kilometer and the increase in tree cover is 721 square kilometer. The country's entire forest and tree cover is 80.9 million hectares or 24.62% of its overall geographical area. The open forest has seen an increase in forest cover followed by dense forest. Madhya Pradesh is the country's largest forest cover state, followed by Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Maharashtra. The top 5 states in terms of forest cover as the percentage of total geographical areas are Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Manipur and then Nagaland. The country's total mangrove cover is 4,992 square kilometer according to the report, and in that Odisha, Maharashtra, Karnataka, the top 3 states with increasing mangrove cover over 3 square kilometer. The country's carbon stock, that is the green cover, has increased by 79.4 million tons since the previous assessment in 2019. So let's discuss about the compensatory afforestation fund which was introduced by Government of India to mitigate the negative impact that arises because of the conversion, that is diversion of forest land for non-forest purposes. First is, whenever the forest land is diverted for non-forest purpose, it is mandatory under the Forest Conservation Act that an equivalent area of the non-forest land has to be taken up for compensatory afforestation. Funds for raising the forest are also to be imposed on whosoever undertaking the diversion. The land chosen for afforestation, if viable, must be in close proximity of reserved or protected forest because of the ease of management for the forest department. In 2012, the Supreme Court ordered the compensatory afforestation fund needed to be created in which all the contribution towards the compensatory afforestation and the net present value of the land had to be deposited in the corresponding fund. So in response to it, in 2004, Ministry of Environment and Forest constituted compensatory afforestation fund management and planning authority to overlook and manage the compensatory afforestation fund as directed by Supreme Court. The authority which was created by Ministry of Environment was called as custodian of the fund. Further, in 2009, under the government order, that is central government order, state campus, that is compensatory afforestation fund management and planning authority needed to be set up in each state, so to boost the compensatory afforestation at the state level. Further, the compensatory afforestation authority as well as the fund which was created thus collected more amount of money, but those money have never been utilized. It has been underutilized only. The money has not been utilized fully for the purpose which it has been created. So the government of India took a reform and they plugged the implementation loopholes, and then they created a separate statutory act called Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act 2016. Under this act, National Compensatory Afforestation Fund, which is created under the Public Accounts of India, and State Compensatory Afforestation Fund is created under the Public Accounts of each state. The payment made for compensatory afforestation as well as net present value and other related to the project will be deposited in the fund. The state funds, that is State Compensatory Afforestation Fund, will receive the 90% of the amount paid, and the remaining 10% will be credited to National Afforestation Fund, and this fund will be regulated by the corresponding state as well as national CAMPA. CAMPA here means Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority. So what we needed to study further is, we should know about Forest Act 1980, under which ministry it has been created, what are the stakeholders who are going to get benefited from this act, and what is the current status of its implementation. These are all the things which we needed to know. Second is, we should know about what is green credit scheme, what is the objective for which it has been created, and who are all the stakeholders, those who are going to get benefited from this scheme. Third is, we should know about the Wildlife Protection Act. The same, we have to look into the provisions of the Wildlife Protection Act as the way I told to look into you. I have told to look into Forest Act 1980. Okay, let's discuss the UPSC prelims question. Consider the following states: Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Odisha. With reference to the state mentioned above in terms of percentage of forest cover to the total area of the state, which one of the following is the correct ascending order? This arrangement we have seen in the slide itself. So if we are aware of the explanation which I have explained in the previous slide related to the status of forest in India, we could able to easily answer the question. The answer is, in terms of percentage of forest cover, is answer is option C, 3, 2, 4 and 1. In terms of percentage, you could Maharashtra, and then Madhya Pradesh, and then Odisha, and then Chhattisgarh holds the decreasing value in terms of percentage of forest cover to the total area of the state. Okay, let's look into how the UPSC mains question was asked in relation to land diversion. What are the consequences of illegal mining? Discuss the Ministry of Environment and Forests concept of go and no-go zones for coal mining. Substandard, unsafe, WHO now flags alert for India-made syrup sold in Iraq. About news. World Health Organization has raised alert against India's manufactured contaminated syrup which is sold in Iraq. The syrup was found to contain 0.25% of diethylene glycol and 2.1% of ethylene glycol. The acceptable limits according to World Health Organization is 0.10. The contaminants are known to cause abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, headache, alerted mental status, inability to pass urine, acute kidney injuries. These are all the symptoms that will be caused to human beings if they are consuming the over the limit diethylene glycol as well as over the limit ethylene glycol. Okay, let's look into the regulatories in India in relation to the pharmas as well as drugs that is manufactured in India. First is the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. The Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940 and Rules 1945 have entrusted various responsibilities to central as well as state regulators for regulating drugs and cosmetics. It provides regulatory guidelines for issuing license to manufacturers of Ayurvedic, Siddha as well as Unani medicines. It is mandatory for manufacturers to adhere to the prescribed requirement for licensing of manufacturing units and medicines, including proof of safety and effectiveness, compliance with good manufacturing practices. This good manufacturing practices and its detail we have seen in the previous daily current affairs session. Please go and have a look into it. Central Drugs Standard Control Organization. It prescribes standards as well as measures for ensuring the safety, efficacy and quality of drugs, quality of cosmetics, diagnostics and devices in the country. It regulates the market authorization of new drugs and clinical trial standards. And also it supervises drug imports and approves licenses to manufacture the above mentioned products. That is the products which I have mentioned in the first points. CDSCO, that is Central Drug Standard Control Organization, regulates export of drugs in India. Any manufacturers with certification from CDSCO can export drugs outside India. Drug Controller General of India. Drug Controller General of India is the head of department of the CDSCO, which we have seen in the previous slide, of the Government of India, and it is responsible for approval of license for specified categories of drugs such as blood and blood products, for fluids and vaccines and sera in India. not floor fluids, IV fluids. DGCI also sets standard for manufacturing, sales, import and distribution of drugs in India. So these are all the regulatory bodies for pharma, in particularly for the drugs that is manufactured as well as exported in India. So what we needed to study further is we should know about the data related in relation to the India's pharma industry. Why India is called as pharma capital of the world. The second is we should know about World Health Organization. Third is we should know about the generic drugs. Fourth is we should know about Indian patents. Fifth is we should know the COVID vaccine that is founded as well as manufactured in India. And sixth is we should know about Vaccine Maitri program. These are all the other things which we needed to know. UPSC mains question which was asked in relation to pharmaceutical industry. How is the government of India protecting traditional knowledge of medicine from patenting by pharmaceutical companies? So this is the mains question which was asked in relation to the pharmaceutical company which was asked for 15 marks question. So please do comment answer point for the question which we are seeing right now on the board. Banks write off 14.56 lakh crore non-performing asset in the last 9 financial years. Okay. What is the content of the news is banks have written off bad loans worth 14.56 lakh crore in the last 9 financial years. Out of the 14.5 lakh crores written off loans, a large chunk has went to large industries and services, which stood at 7.4 lakh crores. Scheduled commercial bank have recovered an aggregate amount of rupees 2.4 lakh crores in the return of loan, including corporate loans. So, okay, let's look into what is the write-off is. A loan is an asset of the balance sheet of the bank lent out of depositors' money. Writing off a particular loan essentially means it will no longer be counted as asset in the balance sheet of the particular bank. The bank writes off the loan after the borrower has defaulted on the loan repayment, and there is a very less chance for the recovery of the money which has been given by the bank to the customer. The lender then moves the defaulted loan or the NPA out of the asset side and it reports the amount as loss. After the write-off, the banks are supposed to do, even after the write-off, the banks needed to continue their legal effort to recover the money back from the debtor, that is the person those who have borrowed the money from the bank and defaulted. Since the news is related to write-off and the write-off is related to non-performing assets, we should know about the non-performing asset is. Debt is classified as non-performing asset when the loan repayment have not been made for the minimum period of 90 days. Based upon the period to which a loan has remained as NPA, it has classified into 3 types. One is substandard asset, that is if a loan, that is if the asset which has turned into non-performing asset and it remains so for the period less than or equal to 12 months means it is called as substandard asset. After the asset which has been declared as substandard asset, it remains so for the period equal to 12 months, then it is called as doubtful asset. Similarly, and so is the case for the loss asset. And then the government initiative taken to tackle the non-performing assets in the India. First is Lok Adalat 2001. They are helpful in tackling and recovery of small loans. They are limited up to 5 lakh rupees loan by the RBI guidelines which was issued in 2001. Sarfasi Act 2002. The Act permits banks as well as financial institutions to recover their NPA without the involvement of court through acquiring and disposing of the secured asset in the NPA accounts with an outstanding amount of 1 lakh and above. Third is Mission Indradhanush 2015. It is the 7-pronged strategy that strives to address the challenges encountered by public sector banks. And what are the 7-pronged strategy are? One is appointment, and then is bank board bureau. Third is capitalization. Fourth is de-stressing the public sector banks. Fifth is empowerment. Sixth is framework of accountability, and then governance reforms. Through this 7 components only, the Mission Indradhanush has been formed, and through this 7 components, the government of India wanted to make the banking industry in India to be viable and ensure that their operation will go seamlessly without any kind of disruption because of the NPAs as well as other negative effect. Fourth is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 to overhaul the corporate distress and resolution regime in India. It consolidated the existing law to create a time-bound mechanism with a creditor in control model against the debtor in possession system. The main aim of the IBC code wanted to overhaul, that is revamp the resolution regime in relation to the in relation to creditor debtor legal problems, dispute problems. Bad bank. A bad bank is the corporate structure that isolates illiquid and high risk asset or non-performing loans held by the bank or the financial organization. It is also referred as asset management company. National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited. India's first ever bad bank was set up in 2021. If the bad bank is unable to sell the bad loan or has to sell it at the loss, then the government guarantees will be invoked. To manage the assets with the help of market professional as well as the expert, government has set up India's Debt Resolution Company Limited, which in the short form called as IDRCL. It is a service company where the public sector banks and public financial institution will hold a maximum stake of 49%, and the rest will be with private sector's lenders. So this is what the news related to write-off and NPA, the initiative that has been taken by the government to prevent the NPA in India. Okay, what we needed to study further is we should know about the scheduled commercial bank. What are all the functions of the scheduled commercial bank? What is this statutory act under which the scheduled commercial bank is created, and right now how many scheduled commercial banks are there in India, and what are all their functions? We have to know. Second is we should know about the regional rural bank. What is the act under which it is being created? What is the purpose for creating the regional rural bank? And who are the partners or stakeholders in the regional rural bank, and and who is the regulatory authority for regional rural banks. These are all the things which we needed to know. Third is we should know about RBI. RBI, its statutory provisions and its objective for why it is formed, we should know. Fourth is we should know about the small finance bank, under which committee's recommendation this small financial bank has been formed, and what is the objective of the formation, and then what is the current status or in its implementation, and who is the regulatory authority of the small finance bank. Fifth is we should know about payment bank, which was introduced recently, and the same what I have said for the small financial bank, the same we have to look into the payment bank also. In the case of payment bank, we have to look into which committee has recommended the formation of payment bank, what is the objective of the formation of the payment bank, and what is the current status of its implementation. These are all the things which we needed to know, apart from the right of NPA and then the initiative taken by the government to prevent the NPA in India. Let's discuss prelims question. Consider the following statement. Non-performing asset decline in value when demand revives the economy. Yes. Whenever there is a rise in the demand in an economy, means then there will be increase in the production. And as a result of increase in production, the company which is producing the goods or services will earn the undivided profit, and there is high chance that the debitors will able to pay back the money which they have got from the bank, so that the NPA could reduce. Capacity utilization increases. Yes, if the companies which have debited or taken the credit from the bank, they are working at the maximum potential, and you are utilizing their own resource very efficiently, means their production also will get increased. Not only it will get increased quantitatively, but also in terms of qualitatively, there is high chance that it will earn a profit revenue, and then it will strengthen its bank's capacity to pay back the money which they have got from the bank. Third is capacity utilization through substantive is yet suboptimal. Yes, this is also correct. The same. Fourth is capacity utilization decreases consecutively when upon merger of unit. Not so, not necessary. The mergers between the companies, between this between the entities will take place. Why it is taking place is its objective is to revive the company into the profitable arena. That is the reason why a merger of the particular entities are being taken place. So fourth statement is wrong. Answer is C, 1, 2 and 3. Havana syndrome. The center has told the Karnataka High Court that it will look into the matter of Havana syndrome in India. This is what the content of the news is. Okay, what is the Havana syndrome? It refers to a set of symptoms that said to be experienced by United States intelligence as well as embassy official in various countries. It typically involves hearing certain sounds without any outside noise, nausea, vertigo, headaches and memory loss. It traces its root to Cuba in late 2016. It was about a year after the US opened its embassy in the capital city Havana. The city name is Havana in Cuba. After the ties between the two countries normalized in 2015, some US intelligence officials and embassy staffs began experiencing sudden burst of pressure in the brain, followed by headaches, disorientation and insomnia. And what are all the causes of the Havana syndrome is that what the experts have predicted. There are certain experts which they have given their own predictions. The first prediction is during the Cuba experience, during a Cuban experience happening in a country that has been hostile to the US for over 5 decades, the suspicion was on Cuban agents, the intelligent agents, because they are carrying, what they are saying is that they are carrying out a sonic attack against the US officials. So that is the reason why they are facing this kind of psychological issues. Second prediction given by another set of experts is a microwave weapon are being used on American agents, and who are using the microwave weapons, that is they are not saying. They are saying that some enemy agents are using microwave weapons against the American agents. Third prediction being given by the another set of expert is, it is not about microwave weapons, it is not about sonic attack, it is only about the psychological illness which is amplified by fear of being targeted. That is the reason why the psychological issues that is cropping up on US embassy as well as intelligence official. So this is what the news in relation to Havana syndrome is about. Okay, let's look into the areas which we needed to study further. We have to know about the Cuban geography. Then we should know about North America geography itself by looking into the Oxford Atlas geography map book. Third is we should know about the Cuban Missile Crisis, which is one of the historical event which was happened during 1960s, which we needed to be aware of. So this is the news, important news that came in today's Indian Express newspaper. So we have come to the conclusion of the today's discussion. Please do like, comment, share as well as subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you could able to receive the daily notification in relation to the daily current affairs session and also the other important news that will be brought to you in the future by Ganesh IAS Academy. Thank you.